On this episode of the Texas Private School Podcast, SPC 4A drama starts. Can the Eagles knock off the Knights of Episcopal? Does John Cooper have a prayer against St. John's? Can Central Catholic get it done against St. Thomas? And will Houston Christian get their get back against Trinity Valley? All this and more in the Week 6 preview of the Texas Private School Podcast. Hello and welcome back to another preview episode of the Texas Private School Podcast. As always, I am fourth of your hosting crew today, Walker Lott and Ryan Schroeder. You know, I'll skip their explanations for today. We are joined by what has become a recurring familiar face on the program. If you followed our off-season previews, you will remember, or really anything we've done in the past few years, Jack Klosek, lead SPC analyst for TXPS Media. Jack, happy to have you back as always. It would be unwise not to have you, as this is basically SPC week for us. Number one, how are you doing? Number two, how excited are you to cover some really big SPC matchups?
Wes, Walker, Ryan, always a blessing and always grateful to be back on the show. You guys saw me in the preview episode for SPC now back in August. Feels like it was just yesterday. We're 5 weeks in. With how SPC works this year, one more team is added into SPC 4A, so the big 4A matchups start this week. 3A stuff has been going on, and we'll talk some about that, but the meat of the 4A schedule is going to start, and we have two really big games this week. Three really big games, in fact, because these are all rivalry games. I'm doing well up at Columbia. Taking on a larger role with the football team this fall, doing some stuff with their social media, which is a lot of fun. And then, just taking care of my studies and, having a good time in New York City, but really looking forward to talking about some SPC ball.
Dude, Walker, Ryan, and I can tell you, school ain't for studying. School is for a lot of things, but as long as you can pass, go ahead and fill your time with more interesting endeavors. Walker Lott and Ryan Schroeder, I know I said I'd skip you, but I felt bad after I said that. Walker, we'll start with you. How are you doing? And big week in private school ball. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. I'm excited. The Astros lost today, so that's always a great day. And one more win, Detroit, please, I beg. And yeah, that's basically it. I just wanted to, say the Astros lost, and that's all that matters to me.
Well, Walker, for at least another couple months, we are still the reigning World Series champions, and no one can ever take that from us. Ryan Schroeder, seems like busy times in Oklahoma City with the Thunder starting all their media stuff. How has the last few days been for you?
It's good. It's been a lot of prepping, a lot of planning for the season for us. First game coming soon for preseason. So just trying to balance that with everything going on in the TXPS world. TXPS world has been kind of crazy going into district play. I think every team will enter district play at the end of this week, or will have played at least one district game at the end of this week. So very exciting stuff.
Definitely so. And let's get right into those games. We're going to start with Episcopal at Episcopal School of Dallas. Episcopal out of Bellaire is a 20.5-point favorite. The beautiful thing out of this episode is I have like 3 less games of script because I can just let Jack take it away. So Jack, EHS at ESD. I actually have a lot of thoughts regarding this matchup, but I'm curious to hear your opinion first.
So I think ESD right off the bat is a lot better than people are giving them credit for. You get Benaglia back. I hope I'm saying that right. And Jake Jerky's back this week. ESD played a gauntlet of a non-conference schedule, minus Trinity Valley, who Trinity Valley is a good team in their own right, but, playing up against a 4A opponent is going to struggle. But they played All Saints, they played Prestonwood, they played Second Baptist, and they played an IMG Academy team overseas in Ireland. There's some talent on that team, but I think that their defensive line is not going to be able to stop the offensive attack of Episcopal. I think that Brody Barty has really stepped up for Episcopal, and Episcopal is another team that is 2-2, much better than their record indicates. Their losses are to Parrish, Episcopal, and West Orange Stark. West Orange Stark is a really top-notch program out of East Texas. I think that this is probably a 2-touchdown game, a 2-score game. I think that Episcopal's defense really is going to shine strong with Matt and Morgan leading the way, as well as DJ Taylor, who's really locked down a ton of really good receivers this year. And then on the offensive side of things, you obviously have Brandon Thomas, who's a top 3 player in SBC, as well as Garen Sampson and Logan Barty in the receiving attack. I think that Episcopal should be able to put some points up. I do think, though, Hutch Chipman, who's going to Yale, as well as Dario Benaglia, as well as Siler Cook, who just was recently offered by Miami of Ohio, I think that they're going to be able to put some points up as well. But I do think that Episcopal's defense ultimately is going to be able to overpower some of that offensive attack. But, like we've seen the last 2 weeks, ESD's hung with Second Baptist and All Saints. All Saints and Second Baptist are very comparable teams to Episcopal. Episcopal has taken a step back from last year. Losing Tyler Bloomgren was tough. I like Episcopal in this game, but the game is at the Episcopal School of Dallas. There's going to be some bus fatigue involved, as we always talk about. As somebody who's played at Jerry Jones Stadium, that's a tough place to play. It's a good student section. I think that maybe, we were maybe the more talented team on paper. I don't know, when we played that team with Chase Kennedy and Jaden Robinson and all those guys, that was a good game. But, we came in there thinking we were going to win, and we, got it handed to us, ended up getting back in the regular season, or excuse me, in the playoffs. But I think this is going to be a good test. I do like Episcopal, like I said, but this should be a fun one. And both of these teams are better than their records indicate, and credit to them because they've really gone out and played some good competition in non-conference play.
Yeah, I agree. I'll start by saying that ESD might be the best 1-4 team in all of private school. I had really discounted how good they were until I watched them against Second Baptist. And then again, via live stream against All Saints. So we have All Saints as one of the top teams in TAPS, regardless of division. And even without Jake Gerke, they went out and played very, very well, almost won. That was without Gerke or Benaglia. Siler Cook is a monster, dude. I remember whenever, I think it was you that helped us find more guys for the SPC awards. I looked at Siler Cook. I was like, I like him a lot. I need to know more about him. Siler Cook's very good. Gerke's good. Hutch Chipman is a monster on both ends of the field. It's just, and this took me a while to think about and get through. It's just, as much as EHS loses, they still have Brandon Thomas. They still have Madden Morgan. They still have the Bartees. They still have Cesarski. As much turnover as they had, they still have a lot of returning production, even if their names aren't Carson Gordon or Braylon Thompson. ESD is still poised to be very good with all the guys I just mentioned. I think it's a 2-score game at most, but I have to agree. I'm going with the Knights. I'm not going to overthink this one. I could get cute and try and go crazy, but I've got a pick record to maintain. So I'm going to go with EHS. Walker. There we go.
Go Knights. Go EHS. I love the Barty to Barty connection, man. How Brody Barty's kind of stepped into his own and figured it out pretty dang quickly. You have to be impressed. They play some tough competition. Legacy School of Sports Sciences was a game that you kind of are like with the talent they have, you think it's supposed to be a loss with like a first game at quarterback for the sophomore, and he steps in and becomes comfortable and does what he does. And so I think having him, Garen Sampson, Christian Houston and Tyler Zazarski and DJ Taylor, like they have some dudes on the defensive side, and they've always had them. But I feel like this team is pretty good, and I think this is going to be the first big win for the new coach over there, and I'm excited to see it happen. Ryan?
I mean, I think you're exactly what we said is exactly right. ESD has played an insanely hard non-conference, non-district schedule. Sorry, gosh, don't know why I'm thinking that. Non-district schedule. Even LCSN has also commented on it. I just was scrolling through ESD's Twitter page, their football Twitter page, and literally on the top 10 toughest 11-man schedules, it goes Parish, then ESD back to back. So if you want to know where they rank, ESD has been playing hard teams, as well as SBS, who has played all of these SBC teams as well. But with all that to say is ESD has put forth a super hard non-district slate, and on top of that has scored 33 points on Second Baptist, scored 39 points on All Saints, and they're home here against Episcopal, right? Like they were those 2 games. I don't know, man. I'm not as high on Episcopal as the average person. I see the losses they've had. I see the guys who have gone, who have graduated and gone on and stuff, and I don't know. As much as I love the Brody to Logan connection, I think it's awesome throwing you're a sophomore throwing you to your senior brother. I think that's kind of a really cool thing for the parents and stuff to, I think that's all super cool and stuff. But it's hard for me to say that a Houston team's going to come all the way to Dallas with how much this ESD team has done to basically throw at themselves before the district slate. Give me ESD here. And yeah, I'm excited to see what the boys can do. I'm gonna need to get it done, and I really do have a faith in the what's called in the oh my gosh, please Jack help me out with their
Eagles?
Eagles.
Of course it's the Eagles. We're all the Eagles.
We're all Eagles.
They are the Eagles.
You did the thing I was too scared to do. I really wanted to pick ESD in this game. I'm just too much of a chicken to keep the bird. I think chickens are poultry, same thing, to keep that analogy going. I really do. I like that pick a lot. I think it's a close game. I think 20.5 is too big of a number. I think it's probably a 2-score
20.5
game.
is crazy.
But every spread, by the way, episode disclosure, we don't make the spread. Stop coming up to me and complaining about the spreads at games. But yeah, I think it'll be close regardless. Moving on to another SBC 4A matchup, John Cooper at Houston St. John's, otherwise known as the team Cole Allen plays for. St. John's is a 32.5-point favorite. Jack, what are we looking out for in this one?
Cole Allen to be an absolute dude. One SBC coach recently told me, outside of Dylan Bell, there's been nobody who's able to take the game into his own hands from a receiving standpoint, from a rushing standpoint, even on kind of their trick plays. He threw a touchdown pass against Lutheran South. Harvard is getting an absolute dude, and he's going to wreak havoc on my Columbia Lions for 4-5 years to come. St. John's has, their offense had some question marks with Shea Quinn taking over. He's left no more questions. They played really well against St. Thomas, got a win. Houston Christian was a little, iffy, but they took care of business. Then they went down and they played Calhoun, who's, they run the split back veer team from the Coastal Bend from Port Lavaca. So, if any of you guys have been down to Rockport, Corpus Christi area, right there, went down and took it to them. Hung with Second Baptist, who's, a really solid program, and is a favorite in TAPS D2. And then, absolutely obliterated a 4-0 Lutheran South team that had probably been playing above their weight. John Cooper's 2-3. They played an out-of-state team. Concordia took it to them. They do have wins against Cypress Christian and Legacy Preparatory Christian. Legacy is a freelance team and, is struggling and working to get back on their feet. Cypress Christian's a little bit, on the downside. They lost to Heartbreaker to Lutheran South. Cooper's taking a step back and they have a tough task. This is their first time playing an SBC 4A game. They're used to, conference playing the likes of Cistercian and Oak Ridge. And although Dean Calhoun, is still that guy and, they have some nice other pieces there. This is St. John's all the way. It's going to be a bloodbath. And St. John's is going to start district play the right way. Coach DeHaven does a great job over there. We said before we started there were going to be some growing pains, joining SPC 4A. They had 5 non-district games. They went 2-3. It's going to take some time to get used to. They have some good pieces there. They have some talented guys. But St. John's with Coach Veltri leading that offense, is really, leading an absolute force. And St. John's, really since 2021, that program has turned around. It's a team that's run a spread offense for less than 10 years. They ran, the veer for a long time. They ran the veer. I was at Kincaid, I was probably in, end of middle school when they switched over to a spread offense right before Coach Veltri took over. And he's really done a tremendous job with that program. So I got St. John's by a lot.
Yeah, definitely so. In that same vein, we kind of have a measuring stick for them. John Cooper lost to Lutheran South by about a touchdown or so. Who St. John's, like you mentioned, beat by 4 scores. The Dragons got torched through the air in that LSA game, but they held the run off pretty well. This leads me to think they might try and test Shea Quinn to air it out. The problem is he can air it out to Cole Allen, who can also run the ball, and Cole Allen can throw for touchdowns too. It's just, I don't see a path to victory here for John Cooper. And I know that's kind of in bad taste for me to do right after I picked them to lose last week to Cyprus and they destroyed them. Dean Calhoun, obviously, who I now know is still there, is fantastic. Jake Sneed is a dude. They've got another guy at receiver that I like a lot that Walker will fill me in on when he does his stuff. But my takeaway is John Cooper is better than I expected they would be. But St. John's is a little bit better than I expected, and the starting implications for St. John's were a little bit higher. So I'm going to take St. John's unless Cole Allen transfers to John Cooper in the next 2 days. Give me the Mavs.
Ooh, this is gonna be a fun one. I'll give John Cooper some flowers because we haven't yet, and I do think this offense is pretty good. You know, Dean Calhoun is pure electricity, and you have Eric Sipko, Skylar Loggins, and others on the outside. Jake Sneed is turning into a true Division I prospect over there at John Cooper, and Colson Collins is a real deal. I like him over there, and he makes things happen. He's a true gamer, like I said last week. On the defensive side, they have weapons in the DB spots. Colton Roden at the linebacker position. They have some dudes over there. And for my pick, I have two words. Cole Allen. And that's all you really need to say about this game. That man is a superstar. He's one of the best we've ever seen. Come through the SBC ranks, especially the TXPS as well. My prediction that's kind of bold is I do think this is going to be a close game at halftime. That's my prediction about this one. I think it's going to be a close game at halftime where it's a dogfight. And I think in the third or early fourth, I think Cole Allen puts on a show and then they start taking away the lead. And that's kind of how I see it. I still think it's going to be probably a 2-3 score game in the end, but I think it's going to be closer at halftime. But give me, what are they? The St. John's Mavericks. Yes, give me the Mavs. Ryan?
Yeah, don't give me the Mavs. Give me the Thunder. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously though, St. John's is an incredible team. They're a cannon tune Hail Mary away from a 5-0 start to the season, right? This is a crazy non-district slate of St. Thomas, Houston Christian, Second Baptist, LSA. St. John's looks quite near the top of SBC 4A, if not the top. The one problem being the fact that it really is a Cole Allen offense. Even in the struggles of losing that Second Baptist game, it was just an all-out Cole Allen game. And it sucks to say that because I know there's 21 other guys or 20 other guys and stuff that that start on this team, but it really is in the hands of Cole Allen to make this offense run, which is to their downside. However, there is no downside in that because Cole Allen just keeps running through people no matter which way or what. That happens, right? So, the one thing I'll say about John Cooper real quick is that obviously Dean Calhoun has been there since I've gone to SBC state championships to see him. I mean, he's been there forever. But it really is not enough to go up against Cole Allen. Cole Allen and Dean Calhoun is not comparable. And truly, I do have Cole Allen and St. John's by 40, maybe even 50. I don't think this will be necessarily close at all. That's a crazy thing to say on my part, but I don't think this game will be close. Give me St. John's.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Line's 32.5. I'm going to be honest. I think that's accurate. Again, I don't like doing this because I love John Cooper. It's one of the first programs that ever showed us love. I love Coach Hoy, Coach DeHaven, everyone involved in that program. It's just Cole Allen. I feel like this was the Cole Allen preview, and we'll see if that comes to light on Friday. But if I was a betting man, and I am, I think it will. Let us move on to our first non-SPC matchup of the day. Central at St. Thomas. St. Thomas is a 28.5-point favorite. The 3-1 Buttons will travel east to Houston to match up with the 1-3 Eagles. Central has had a solid start to the year, destroying Gonzales, Southside, and Savio, with their one blemish being at the hands of the rampaging Knights of Holy Cross. Sophomores Hall and Soto are still splitting snaps at quarterback following an injury to Garrett Tyser, as the Buttons rely on a very balanced attack to put points on the board. Expect to see Joseph Carrion and Xavier Rulas get meaningful carries for Central, as Soto is a capable runner as well. Central is going to need to score at a high clip to win this one. They're averaging 54 points in wins and were held to 17 in the loss to Holy Cross. However, St. Thomas has some weapons on the offensive end as well. Roy Thomas Jenkins had his best game of the year last week against St. Pius as he found Nate Tidwell for 140 yards through the air. The Eagles also have several capable rushers in Granger and Waldron. I'm going to go out on a limb here and take St. Thomas. I know they're 1-3, but St. John's, Lake Creek, and Kincaid are quality opponents. And I don't know if I can say the same for Gonzales and Southside. Give me the Eagles making a statement that the South still runs through Houston. Walker.
Another hat on the day.
I don't think you have a central hat.
I have a St. Thomas hat,
There we
and
go.
it says it on the back. St. Thomas. There we go. Give me St. Thomas here. Yeah, Nate Tibble was a guy when we heard about him from Tap 7-on-7 being like, hey, he's gonna be the guy who kind of replaces the Luke Edgecombe rule for them, where he's gonna be the guy who gets a lot of targets and puts up a lot of yards. And that connection is finally happening this week. The offense was kind of struggling for the first 3 weeks, and you can kind of see it finally now progressing. I heard their starting running back is officially back from injury this past week, so he's officially back, which is great news. And I think the offensive line was young, and I think they're finally getting it getting under their feet and putting it together these next couple weeks. I think losing Garrett Tyser is a huge loss for them, truly. I think Soto is a good player. Not gonna lie, I watched him against Holy Cross where Kaiser did get hurt, and I think Soto will be better. But I just without their starting quarterback, it hurts. And I just think St. Thomas has too many weapons around them. I'm excited to see a lot of those guys step up that we really haven't heard much about finally, hopefully in this offense, and see Roy Thomas Jenkins throw the pill around a little bit.
Ryan.
I just want everyone in Houston to know that he wanted the Astros to lose, then proceeds to put on a Houston hat. So just everybody keep a note out there about Walker for that. But hey, no, seriously though, St. Thomas is truly coming to their own and stuff, even in the games where they played Kincaid. Roy Thomas is still having an overall good game in the grand scheme of things, right? You are playing Kincaid and also Nate Tidwell, who looks quite literally incredible on the receiving end. With all that being said, I really just have to talk about how the fact that St. Thomas has been the top of the South of Division I for a while. They truly run it with a shutout victory against St. Pius in the start of their district. That kind of gives me the faith that I needed after starting out 0-3. Give me St. Thomas here. I'll go 2 or 3 scores, but it truly, St. Thomas is coming to their own once again, and we'll see it here now as the district slate comes to a start as it starts up.
There we go. Jack Klosek, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I watched St. Thomas play Kincaid, and it wasn't the same team that I played against, and since Kincaid started playing St. Thomas regularly in 2014, St. Thomas only lost to Kincaid 3 times. All 3, the first 2 times that happened, Kincaid won SPC. We'll see about that later this November. But in all seriousness, St. Thomas, played a really tough non-conference schedule, and that in terms of my picking strategy, that's a big thing for me. They put a really talented St. Thomas team. Lake Creek is a very good 5A program. Would give most private school programs in the state a tough time, and my Falcons have had a nice start to the season. That said, they absolutely destroyed Pius. Gonzales and Southside are lower quality public school opponents, and Savio's not a very good team. Holy Cross has taken quite a big step forward. It's a good 3A program as well, and they have great stuff going on over there. I know Walker got to cover the Holy Bowl, which looked like a pretty special event. That said, though, I think you guys mentioned Tidwell and Roy Thomas Jenkins. I think that St. Thomas has taken a lot of steps forward last week against Pius. I also think that they had a bye week after going 0-3. They had, a lot of time to clean things up. And Pius is down and, is not kind of the same Pius we saw 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. They got a chance to get right. They played a rivalry, and Pius St. Thomas is a huge game in the Houston community. And that's a big rivalry game between both schools. I like St. Thomas. We'll go a 4-person sweep in terms of St. Thomas. I think that St. Thomas gets it done. Central Catholic also has to travel into Houston, which is we talk about bus fatigue. We talk about traveling. That's not always fun either. I know Central Catholic's taken some steps forward. They got new Bromfield's old head coach. And they can put some points up there. But, again, they've only beaten, lower quality opponents and didn't play that kind of gauntlet non-conference that St. Thomas did. Coach McGuire does a great job with that program. Walker and I got to touch base. So not that I wasn't there last year, but the year before. And they really do great things over there. And I got no problems, no qualms, no problems picking St. Thomas. I like the Eagles to get it done and move to 2-0 in district play.
Yeah, that 4-0 sweep always makes me incredibly nervous, but hopefully the Eagles can pull through and help out the pick records a little bit there. Moving on to another Taps on Taps mashup, a Division One North game. Trinity Christian Addison at Legacy Christian. Legacy Christian Academy is a 13.5-point favorite. Legacy is 5-1 coming off of a 56-27 loss to Parrish in the previous week. Ryan, I'm not asking you to make your pick now. I just wanted to get your guidance as you were on site. How did Legacy look last week in that game to Parrish?
I mean, so the basic thing from when I was telling everybody on kind of just like the recap and stuff was basically the fact that it was kind of close at the beginning, until basically Parrish took away with everything. But you could see the progression in Legacy over the years. Ian Pulte looks good, but when I talk in a second, Luke Lawrence is definitely someone that's on the rise, the backup junior as well as some other younger guys who I feel like add a lot of key pieces to this team. The defensive side has been good for years for Legacy. That has been their strong suit, going back to Norris and all the other guys that have been on that team on the defensive side. But it is a little bit different this year. Team looks a little bit different, obviously playing a way harder district. But yeah, I'll let you go first, and then I can run into mine.
Yeah, no, I was just going to give some background. TCA is 2-3, recently losing to Liberty 56-0. No shame there. Most teams in the state would. However, I like Ian Pulte, Corey and Gray, Sam Jones, and Marshall Tucker a lot. I've spoken at length about a lot of those guys, and TCA has had some significant injuries. I'm going to take the Eagles here. I'll save everyone's time. I've raved at length about Legacy, since I started watching them at the end of last year. Like Ryan said, a night and day difference from even the Legacy of like 2020, whenever they were kind of down the dumps from 2020 to 2022. They look a lot better. Legacy traditionally has been a pretty good program, especially I remember back in like 2020. Yeah, I like the Eagles here. I think Ryan's kind of preseason standard of undefeated in non-district, 500 in district could really come to play here. Give me Legacy to beat TCA. Walker.
Yeah, give me Legacy. TCA Addison was not injured to the extent if they were, this would be a closer game. But I really do I think Legacy wins this by 2-3 scores, truly. You lose your star player, Ryan Elms, to a dislocated elbow. He's out for pretty much the rest of the season. Zane Williams had a broken leg after week 4. That's a huge loss for them. Their star guy who came over from Dallas Jesuit. And they had a couple other guys. I'm excited to see how Hunter Flatt does, the sophomore quarterback, who I think is going to be pretty good. Soren Wiemet. He's going to be a good player in this game, but I do think this is going to be the time where, Frisco Legacy gets their first win and taps D1 and proves Ryan's prediction right and keep going 500. And I think this is a game they steal over a injured TCA Addison squad. Ryan, what are you thinking? I kind of have an idea of who you're going to pick.
Does anyone actually have an idea who I'm going to pick here? I mean, it's almost like I've been saying it this entire time since the season started, like y'all said. Undefeated in non-district came true. You get to start loss to Parrish, which you thought you were going to have, and now you got to win. Now you got to win 3 games and figure it out, right? So, I truly think Legacy's prepared themselves and stuff. And after seeing them last week, I do want to go more in depth to the guys. Like Ian Pulte is obviously the starter. He looks good. I want to talk about Luke Lawrence though. Luke Lawrence is the junior who's been backing him up. Luke Lawrence, putting himself on the rushing side as well, scoring in the Parrish game, but also he went 5 for 5 in his 5 throws in that Parrish game as well. Whether that be in dead time or whatever, doesn't matter. But I just want to talk about another guy, the sophomore, Jaden Holland. He is the tight end. He is big. He is really big for 2027. I think he'll only get better as he continues for Legacy. He's been playing pretty well overall. In this last game, 4 catches for 50 yards. But the real guy who I definitely think is a key part of this offense is Jack Olson, right? Jack Olson, really the guy who's scored in the last 3 games for Legacy. He's also not a senior. He's a 2026. So He's a junior, and he's looked really great for them as well. 6 catches, 92 yards, a touchdown the last game against Parrish. These are guys that are stepping up for this team. Obviously, the brothers. It is funny reading these last names because I recognize the last names. These brothers have some of my friends as well on the receiving core. It is funny just to see how everything has turned out for Legacy this year. I still hold true to my prediction. The loss to Paris last week means the win this week over TCA Addison. The boys are going to get it done. Legacy here are going to be the winners.
There we go. Jack?
I got Legacy as well. We'll make it another clean sweep. TCA really, since moving up, has struggled a little bit, and they've taken their lumps, going up from an indie team and then the last realignment cycle kind of moving up to that TAPS D1 district. When you're losing to St. Mark's by a couple touchdowns, and no shade to St. Mark's, but that's just a kind of a program that's struggled, been at the basement of SBC 4A. They're banged up, and they're on a little bit of a downturn. But just a couple years ago, like my senior year at Kincaid, they were a really good program. Legacy, on their other hand, was not a good program just 3 years ago, but now they've really turned it around. They play a little bit of also a weaker non-district schedule, but at the same time, they've obviously capitalized on that and gotten good work in doing that. And they hung with Parrish a lot more than I thought they would. And I think they get it done. I think they have a really good shot, especially against Nolan. Bishop Lynch, has also kind of been in that kind of treading water a little bit. I like Legacy to get it done. I think that they have a lot of talented pieces, as you guys alluded to. And I think TCA, unfortunately, is dealing with a lot of injuries, and, they're in a bit of a down year, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be cool to watch Legacy sneak into the playoffs and then get matched up with, some of those Southern teams that typically aren't as good as the Northern teams and really see if they can make a run there. I think that'd be really cool. I've spoken at length about how much I like that program. Moving on to the final game on the slate for this evening, Houston Christian at Trinity Valley, a game that I will be at for the second year straight. Houston Christian is a 6.5-point favorite in this game. Jack Klosek, what do we need to be watching out for in what's probably game of the year in 3A?
Well, I think a lot of us, and certainly myself, if we flash back to the Battle of Bryan Irvin, I picked Fort Worth Country Day, but Ben Negishu had other plans, and he absolutely showed out. I think he had 5 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Trinity Valley, we knew was going to be down losing Maynard and Parkhurst. But, with Fort Worth Country Day, putting up points in non-district, I wasn't sure how they'd fare against Trinity. I wasn't sure that, how Trinity Valley would fare against them. But, Trinity Valley went out and took care of business. That said, Houston Christian, they go in and lose to Lutheran South, who I thought they'd beat, but then they turn around, they hang with St. John's, they lose again. And then they beat Pius by a field goal, so you're not really sure, what's what going into district. But then they go around, they smack St. Andrews, they smack Oak Ridge. I've been a fan of that program. What Coach Eisenman has done there, turning that program around, has been fantastic. I like the offense that Coach Webb runs with kind of the run and shoot. Anderson Jones and Bennett Mallory, are top receivers. RJ Evans has done a nice job filling in, taking over for Ron Rice. I think that's a good team. I think that Trinity Valley's, although they got them in the SBC championship, they're down. Houston Christian's a little bit down too, but not as down as Trinity Valley is. I think that Houston Christian gets it done. And I also think, Houston Christian, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. Last time they squared off against Trinity Valley, it ended in absolute heartbreak, in Euless, Texas at the Trinity Trojan Stadium. I think that Houston Christian still is the favorite to win SBC 3A. And SBC 3A is so tricky because, here you see Trinity Valley not get shut out by ESD. And, we're not sure exactly what they're rocking with. But then, they go out and they take care of business against Fort Worth Country Day. I think Ben Negishu will have himself a game, don't get me wrong. But I still think Houston Christian ekes this out by a score or two.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And as much as I don't like it, I'm still rocking with Houston Christian here. I was wrong in the state game last year. I could very well be wrong again in this game. It's just Greg Gertie is such a monster on the ground, as well as Bennett Mallory at receiver. Houston Christian struggles whenever this offensive line allows a lot of pressure. So we're going to need to see what TVS dials up and if they can get that pressure to have a shot in this game. Ben Nagishi, we've already spoken at length about, is a monster. I first heard about him last year when they said how big of a jump he had taken from his sophomore to his junior year. We've seen he's taken almost the same jump from his junior to senior year, which is really impressive to see. It's going to be really interesting. I'm taking Houston Christian, like I said. I think it's close. The pick makes me incredibly uncomfortable, and I probably won't be welcomed very warmly into Trinity Valley after this pick and then picking against them in the Battle of Brian Urban. But, it's a hard life that we lead. But I'm going to take the Mustangs. Hope I am right like I was in the regular season last year, and we'll just see how the 3A championship shakes out if we make it there. Walker.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. This is for bragging rights, kind of like last year, right? Where they went up to Fort Worth and Houston Christian won it last year in Fort Worth, and when it went back to Euless and Trinity Valley won that time. This is gonna be a fun one. I'm excited for this one. I'm gonna take Houston Christian. I think they're the better team in this one. I think they're going to be a very good team. I love how Bennett Mallory and Greg Goodry have stepped up. And so I'm excited to see those guys ball out a little bit. I'm still SES at heart, and you still got to hate TBS a little tad bit in my heart. So how could I pick against Houston Christian in this one?
Speaking of hating TVS, Ryan Schroeder.
Did someone say my name? No. Hey, I think the real problem for TVS is just the fact that, you let 21 points from St. Andrews on you and stuff like that. I really don't think this is their game to win. To be pretty blunt, I think the only thing really on their side this game is the fact that this game is in Fort Worth. I truly think that Houston Christian's going to come out and get them. I'm actually kind of a huge fan of RJ Evans. He's only a sophomore and is now in the last game against was St. Andrews. He had 4 touchdowns, 2 passing, 2 rushing. The Oak Ridge game was a little bit more of a Greg, what's his name? Greg Goodry?
Yeah, Goodry. We're gonna rock with that.
Yeah, something like that. That it definitely feels like the offense flows a lot more through Goodry now that RJ's come in and stuff. And I don't know if I think he was like 10 for 23 and an interception against Oak Ridge, right? I think this game needs to go in Greg's hands, mostly because it is of that importance and stuff. But RJ does need to show up on the passing end in order to allow Greg to do his thing on the ground. With that being said, Houston Christian, give it to me by 2 touchdowns. Yeah, man, I don't see TVS getting it done. And if these 2 teams end up showing out in November, you can already book it right now. That'll be the exact same. It'll be the exact same way in November. I'm telling you right now. Houston Christian is the only team.
Quit fanning the fire, dude. I'm the one that has to answer for all of this on Friday.
I'm telling you. I'm just telling you how it is. We're gonna look at November 8th is when they play. November 8th in the state championship when they both play each other. I mean, they're gonna win on Friday, and they're gonna win in November. I don't know what to tell you.
You could have stopped after saying that Houston Christian's gonna win and saved us a lot of potential grief in a month.
It's not y'all. Come for me. I'm never.
They can't come for you. You're at OKC. I'm going
never
to be there
showing up
on
to
site
TVS
both
anyways.
games.
All right, cool. Did you pick TVS? Oh, I didn't think so. So it doesn't really matter anyways.
That's fair. You got me there. Anyways. We'll see. That's going to be a really fun matchup. I anticipate it's going to be the first of 2 games. We'll see. It's going to be a fun one. But that wraps up the slate that we have for this week. Jack, if you've been following any of the episodes, I've been grilling Walker on random albums to see if he can name an artist from these albums. I don't know if anyone is super familiar with the group, so I'm going to say if anyone can name me a single song by Weezer, I'll let you off the hook.
Buddy Holly.
There we go. All right, let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic album. We're going to start bringing that. Just earned Jack 2 more episode appearances. that made I would have also accepted My Name Is Jonas, Only in Dreams, or the Sweater Song. But yeah, Weezer's Blue Album, an absolute classic. Go listen if you haven't already. But that being said, Jack Klosek, I'll let you have the final word. Thank you yet again for coming on. Super appreciative for everything you do for the program.
Absolutely. Thank you for the kind words, Wes. Always a treat to be able to join and chop it up with you guys. I'm excited for SPC 4A action. I think that ESD, EHS, I'm going to be watching that one. It'll be interesting to see if Ryan's right. I don't think that ESD has enough pass rush to be able to stop Episcopal's offensive attack, as I mentioned. But we'll see. That's going to be a fun game, and just all around Texas private school football, not just SPC. It should be a fun weekend. Kincaid looks to extend their winning streak against St. Mark's since I don't even know how many years it is now, but the last time St. Mark's beat Kincaid, George W. Bush was president, so long time ago. And that'll be at Norman Lamar Hunt Stadium over at St. Mark's. I expect St. John's to get it done, Houston Christian to get it done, and should be a good week. As always, it's a treat that we get to do this. It's not about us; it's about the guys that are suiting up and playing. It warms my heart to see guys like Cole Allen, going to have opportunities after high school, play Ivy League ball. Same thing with the likes of Wayne Shanks or Jordan Manuel or Brandon Thomas. It's about those guys and giving them the credit they deserve. And, Texas private school football is the real deal. So it's a treat for us to get to watch you all. I'm just happy to be along for the ride. Thank you, guys.
Aren't we all? I appreciate it, Jack, as always. Walker Lott and Ryan Schroeder have fantastically been themselves. We will see you in the Week 6 recap on Monday. See you later.